Here we go. All right, everyone. We are live. As you can see, me and my man are just vibing here. See, I've wanted to do this for quite some time. You know, I'm just going to introduce this man by telling everyone how I remember him and the first time he made an impression on me. It was Ramadan. I don't know if you remember, but it was Ramadan. I saw you in the changing room of our training academy.
Yes.
And you, of course, being a devout Muslim, you were fasting. And you offered me the simple thing that can be a gesture for a man to introduce himself. You offered me dates. And as the Muslim people of the world know, dates are something very precious. And it's something that gives you energy and it nourishes you. And for me, that's simple, a symbol of, good act. It made an impression on me. And I was like, hey, this person is fasting and still decides to give me the little bit of food that he has in his bag in the evening when he's about to break his fast. That was very thoughtful of you. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Abu El-Nachar. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you, brother. It's an honor for me.
I really appreciate it. Listen, people want to know, who is El-Nachar?
Abdullah El-Nachar. I have come to Finland when I was under 1 year old, and I lived in the north like 16 years before coming to
Where
Espoo.
in the north?
Oulu.
Oulu. Ooh, that is really north.
Yeah.
Close to the Arctic Circle.
yes.
Really north.
A lot of cold and a lot of bugs there, so I prefer this side of the Finland, basically.
A bit closer to the south, more people like us, let's say.
Yes, definitely more open-mindedness, and more like us, like migrations and multicultural, let's say. Like when I was a kid in Oulu, there wasn't much of that. Basically, I was there
16 years ago, right?
Yeah, when I was a kid.
Oh, wow. And this, how old were you in this time period?
This time period, I was like from like 4 years old until like over like 20 years old.
Okay.
Before that, a little bit.
Where are you from originally?
From Lebanon, yes. But I actually I was born in Jordan, Amman. Yes, okay. Yes. And from there, it didn't took much time until we came to Finland.
Okay, but your family is originally from Lebanon?
Yes, both mother and father.
We're in Lebanon, by the way, because I remember I told you, because I've lived myself in Lebanon.
Yeah.
Beautiful country, wholesome people, historically significant region.
Yes.
I lived in Tyre, as you know, a city that even Alexander the Great had a difficult time to conquer.
Yes.
As you know, Istanbul.
Yes.
Now, where are you from, particularly in Lebanon?
In Tripoli. Travelers, yes. Travelers.
Rich history. Very rich
history, definitely.
And when you came here, did you find it easy to settle down, or was it a completely different experience for you? I mean, it's a bit of an obvious question, but everyone kind of has a different experience. So
exactly. For me, it was very difficult, firstly, because the only foreigner being there, it was very hard to, be with the people and facing a lot of problems and troubles. But being very kind and nice back then helped a lot in those situations. Like I created like few good lifetime friends from there. Even we have different cultures and different thoughts. We can bond together by this kindness, and they have also adapted a lot of those kind things, and I settled down with them. A lot of racism, of course, a lot of troubles, but I always tried to avoid them. I was raised very good by my parents, and especially when I started to be with the activities what that place gives me. For example, I played hockey.
Wait, you can skate?
Yeah, I can.
Listen, I got a confession for people. I've lived in this country for 15 years. That's the one thing that I have not done yet. I have not learned to skate. Ice skating, that is. Like, for me, okay, this is now public knowledge. You can roast me if you like. I tried, I slipped, I hurt my butt, and I just told myself, listen, this is not meant for me. But now I'm having second thoughts because if a brown person can do it, so can I.
Definitely, I agree, and it's a lot of fun, as you are in the combat sport as well.
Yeah.
I think you like it because the more you learn the balance on it,
Yeah.
you can just speed up and have fun. Have
Yeah.
fun.
I mean, if like you're literally on a piece of thin sheet of metal on
Yes.
ice. I mean, that is the definition of balance. So I got to respect you. Like, wait, so how long did you do? I mean, you played ice hockey as a young person, but
Yes.
to give a little idea to people, you are a professional combat athlete in the sport of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what is Jiu Jitsu.
Jiu-Jitsu is a system which has developed by the Crazy family
Mhm.
from judo
Mhm.
and Japanese Jiu-Jitsu.
Mhm.
And basically, the system is to take the person on top
Mhm.
to the ground
Mhm.
and learn how to control it and how to subdue it.
Mhm.
For example, by manipulating the joints,
Mhm.
or for example, choking the person.
Mhm.
It is not only like a system, it's also like a lifestyle. People, I know it's a little bit cliche, people say it's a lifestyle, but
Mm.
it is. It
No,
is
It is.
really.
If you live and breathe and sleep jiu-jitsu, you can call it a lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly. In order to basically achieve on that thing, you need a routine basically on it. But so when you have that kind of system, basically you can uh, learn how to a lot of yourself from it, basically.
Why did you particularly gravitate towards jiu-jitsu? What caught your eye?
What caught my eye is that when I went to the martial art gym and there
In
was
Oulu?
like,
In Oulu or here?
no, here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So you
started
moved.
this like very old, very old, like let's say a around 20 years, 21 years.
You were 21 years old when you
Yes,
started, right?
20,
So this
20.
is some like 8 years ago or
No,
something?
like 9 to 10 almost
Okay,
now,
9 to 10 years
basically.
ago.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So I went to the martial art gym and there was like 20 kilos low, what is called lighter woman.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your training partner was lighter in
Yeah,
weight.
much
Yeah.
lighter and opposite. She was a female,
Yeah.
and she just throwed me on the mat, and I thought I was like I knew something. I'm a
Yeah.
very sporty guy, and I thought I have strength because I was working in the
Yeah.
construction.
Yeah.
So then it made me think a lot. Like, okay, this has something in it,
Yeah. Because it's
the-
equating everyone to a certain degree. If, as you said, you had an assumption since you were a man
Yes.
and you're a very like well-built person, you get on the mat and if a lighter weighing woman can toss you around, it must have been a sort of reality check.
It was very big reality check, and it made me think for many months, many years.
Oh wow,
also.
you really thought about that.
Yes, and especially in the first days and after that, because it fascinated me, like how, like this much differences in the people. Somebody can control me, can play with me, like roll me around as she pleases. And then I realized this sport, this system has something, and it
Something
just
unique.
yeah,
right?
something unique, and got me addicted straight away.
That's actually a very good point you mentioned because if you think about combat sports, let's say in a striking degree, if it's only striking, and it's a man versus a woman, I can see the biological difference might play a factor because a man just has more strength, more robust
Yes.
bones. It might be a height differential, so it might not be an even playing field. But if it's a woman and a man rolling, as you said, and if there's a skill disparity, if the skill gap is wide,
Yes.
it can definitely be a big statement. Definitely.
It is big statement, and it is a good statement because then when you check with your thoughts, of course everybody has an ego, but is it healthy? So from there you start to build up healthy ego. Like a lot of people I have seen throughout the years that they come first time, they cannot handle the truth on their ego, they quit. And if they can handle it, they start coming more and really like have be more humble and just learn what this system is more about, you know. And
People take notes because it's a very good word that he just used right now. Humility. Humility is something that you need every time you approach a problem, a task, or a challenge. Like you need to know your limitations, that you do not know like something about this particular thing as of now. But eventually, if you commit yourself to it, you know, it starts to enlighten you. But go on, please.
yes, and yes, from there, basically, always when I learned that, even now I use this humbleness, learning different martial arts or just jujitsu to different technique. I cannot always be even if I have all the knowledge what I have now. I need still the humbleness to learn new things on the matter, because if I'm just like, okay, I just know it, I don't need to do it, I don't need to implement it, practice it, it just goes away and I really don't know, then I cannot learn it basically. So always when I like to learn something, I approach it by humbleness, being humble towards what has been presented to me.
And at the moment, do you have any practical things that you do on a day-to-day basis to improve yourself as an athlete? Like, you know, some habits, routines, discipline. How do you structure that?
I structure it towards sleeping. Like for me, sleeping is like the most important thing, you know.
Sleep is your superpower. I know. When you get that solid 9 hours,
Yeah,
the day just feels different, you know.
definitely.
Like, I'm so glad that you brought that subject, because it's like not many people take it seriously. So it's good that you brought it up.
Yeah, I think why people doesn't take it so much seriously, it's all the phones and TV and the lights, and it's so much fun. There's a lot of things going on toward in this
stimulation.
Yes, stimulation going on in this world, so we get caught up on it. So that's why I like to build everything on sleeping. So towards sleeping, when I build it up, I have to think, okay, I have to go to sleep this time, I have to eat in certain time.
Yeah.
Of course, it can be flexible as well, but I really want to hold it from there. And then regular training, eating good, having healthy relationships. It's very important to have them.
Social bond, right?
Social bond, because also if you don't have those social bonds, which are real, you get alone. Some people I know like to be alone, and it's fine. We are
Mavericks.
introverts. yes.
Mavericks.
Yes. But sometimes it can affect our mental health, for example,
absolutely.
and then it affects like straight away to sleeping.
No, like sleep is. I mean, there's many scientific studies as of late coming out that purport, you know, for example, everything that you learn in the day. Let's say you practice a mathematical equation, or you play the guitar, or in our case, you know, or in your case, jiu-jitsu. Everything that you train that day, it's gonna consolidate in your memory when you go to sleep. When you go to sleep, it's when your brain puts all the right files in the right long-term memory order. So absolutely. How do you see yourself in the near future, like when it comes to jiu-jitsu? What would you say, like, you're doing in person by yourself to help the sport grow? Because even in this country, it's still relatively a niche thing. So
here now currently I have always loved teaching since from the beginning. Always, if I had my
great reports.
Yes. Thank you, brother. Even if I learned something and I know it, I like to share it. And what I'm doing now is to teach. I love teaching, and I try to promote jiu-jitsu even outside of the gym to people, even if they haven't tried it, just to try it and speak good about it, because it's really good. I'm now teaching in Esponqueja Height, which
Yeah.
is very dear to
Shout
me.
out to the academy.
Yes, definitely.
The real ones know.
The real ones know. And and also teaching there,
Yeah.
and I hope I can continue teaching there after this summer,
Yeah.
and just accumulate a lot of knowledge just to bring it on to everybody. And even if I am not in the teacher role, I like to teach and help my training partners, and I like also receive in matters which I don't know, or get more knowledge on the matters I already know.
Do you? I mean, since how old is jiu-jitsu, generally speaking?
It's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu
Brazilian
is
Jiu-Jitsu, I mean, yeah.
not it's not so old,
Yeah.
because it has come from Japanese Jiu-Jitsu and Judo. Exact numbers, unfortunately, I'm not sure regarding that, but it's now like I think now we are more than a decade almost in Jiu-Jitsu, not Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu,
Yeah.
but Jiu-Jitsu part. Like it's very no. Excuse me, Jiu-Jitsu part, it's much more than a decade, like a lot. But Jiu-Jitsu, it's like from the 50s above.
Yeah.
I think so.
And I mean, but do you see? Because lately I've been hearing discussions. Because it would really, like, for me, a fun scenario that I've pictured is if it becomes such a big global phenomenon that it can even start being considered an Olympic sport. Because if judo is an Olympic sport, why not Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Because it's a very, very, I mean, methodical combat system. So do you see? How would you see Jiu-Jitsu growing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in this case, in the next 5 to 10 years?
In the and the next 10 years, I think it is going it's going to grow very much. And now on the system, how it's growing to the schools in certain parts of the world, to the schools and to the military that it is required there. And I think it's going to grow even more on that scene. But also it's going more towards no-gi from all the fame which has it gotten.
Can you explain to people what's the difference between gi and no gi?
Gi, with the gi you have like an kimono on, and uniform just like judokas, and the techniques varies just like no-gi, but you can use the kimono also to choke people, to control them like people has clothes. And no-gi is without the kimono, where we rather control the people's joints and muscles basically.
So in no-gi, people don't have any that many leverage to use the clothing to strangulate the person or something. But in gi, you can utilize the fabric around the person, right?
Exactly. But of course, in no-gi rules, we cannot control that.
It's a rule set sport.
We cannot control the from the rush. But of course, if it's a self-defense matter, it's completely different.
It's actually a good point to come to, since at least in what I've noticed is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is becoming much more popular for people who are keen from the self-defense aspect of things. Because I mean, the world can be a dangerous place, and sometimes we might encounter scenarios that are out of our control, and the mother state cannot be there always to save you, so a person has to rely upon themselves. And I think this is a very, very good thing to teach to people, because obviously you don't look for danger, but if danger comes to you and you have no option, it's good to know what to do once you are on the ground on your back.
Exactly, and I agree with that 100%. And in the self-defense aspect, the sport is also growing a lot between the ladies from the certain situation what the world is, and in the older world, and especially Jiu-Jitsu missionaries has been traveling different.
That's a thing. I didn't even know Jiu-Jitsu missionaries existed.
It is existed, and how else like Jiu-Jitsu has growth basically.
We bring you the word of our Lord and Savior, Royal Grace.
If we want to think like that, it can be like that, but it's truly, I have a few friends who have been traveling, and they are really inspirational to me, how they have been like bringing jiu-jitsu to different countries, and
Do you
promoting
have any
it.
examples of which countries they've been engaging in missionary working.
Yes. So basically, like my first coach, Dennis Jeffers Caesar,
Mhm.
he came to Finland, and I started this martial arts
Mhm.
journey with him. And he taught me like 2 years before then leaving Finland,
Yeah.
and he went to Seychelles to promote
Seychelles.
Seychelles.
Woo! Paradise on earth.
Yes.
Paradise on earth. Oh my days. It's on my list. I gotta go there before I die. You
Yeah.
know, as a buccaneer, as a sort of modern day pirate, it's
Yes.
gotta be a place to at least go and hide my treasure. But go on, yeah.
Yeah, it's very beautiful place. I unfortunately haven't gone there yet, but one day, inshallah. So he taught there, and after that, his style of teaching before that was in Finland like very towards the competition and sport. And when he went there, it was more. He turned it more to the self defense side, and that was very inspirational to me. And after that, he moved also to Africa. Now I don't remember the country where he is now, but now it's like mostly a lot of women's self-defense part, and it's very inspirational.
It's really beautiful to
Yeah.
know that, like to give this kind of knowledge to someone,
Yes.
especially, to women who sometimes feel really unsafe in this world.
Yes.
It's really nice to know that they can have the necessary tools if push came to shove, if
Yes.
something devilish happened to them, that they can at least mitigate the situation. So
Ye-
that is really, really beautiful
Yes,
to hear.
and the self-defense aspect from it, what really is even more important to me, that you learn how to avoid certain bad situation. You have like healthy understanding of your emotions,
Mhm.
your ego, from time that you have done jiu-jitsu,
Mhm.
and you just learn how to avoid it. You learn how to calculate the situation. Okay, that for me, for example, I have been training for many years now, and I still like haven't gone in any kind of trouble. I always avoid it.
I mean, it's basically the last measure that you apply if
Mm.
the situation asked for it. So it's
Yeah.
not something that you seek out.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Of course, if you get cornered in a bad like place, that is your only solution,
Hmm.
then you of course have to use it in the right measures in that sense.
Going back to the subject
Yes.
of the sport spreading around
Yes.
different parts of the world. So you mentioned, for example, in Africa. From my
Yes.
recent research, I think some specific countries that it's been growing in is in Ethiopia,
Mhm.
in Kenya. There's
Yes.
been some competitions I heard in Tanzania. It's so beautiful to hear that people. I mean, it's always been something that, like, even in Brazil, in the
Yes.
favelas, the youth, it was sort of like a mode of escape, because
Exactly.
life is rough in
Yes.
these parts of the world, and like to know that some kids in shanty towns have the opportunity to do something with their life, not just learn how to defend themselves, but even potentially change the life of themselves and their family, because you can make money from this if you're good at it.
Yes, if you are good at it in jiu-jitsu, well, you cannot make that much of money, but it gives you a skill set. How you develop in jiu-jitsu, also you develop yourself, your personal self.
Which is more important in the end.
Exactly. For example, I will give you like a live example that I would never imagine that I will be working in the certain areas in my life where I am. And I think that one reason is from jiu-jitsu, because how I have developed myself as a human being, how I approach stuff, it also goes straight away to like relationships, work, anything I want to improve on. I can use those same tools what I have to face in jiu-jitsu. I can take them and use them there as well.
Absolutely. These principles apply in other things in your life as well.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And it mostly comes from the routine as well.
Is the sport growing in the Middle East by any chance, or in the Arab world? Do you know anything?
Yes, definitely. It has grown even more,
Hmm.
and especially the Nogi side has been growing even more. And the example I told you that it's in the school, it's also in United Arab Emirates and certain part of
Mm.
there in
Oh yeah,
Dubai, for
true, true,
example,
true, true.
that
Yeah.
it is now a school lesson. You can take part of it, and it's growing even more. I think there's like big promoters for it from the UFC
Mm.
who is competing currently, and
Mm.
now it's just like blowing up even more and more.
Mm.
Unfortunately, it hasn't reached to my country
Yeah.
so much. There is few
Not yet.
schools, not yet.
Yeah. Never
There's
say never.
yeah, never say never. Few schools, which is like in the Beirut side, but when there is like the more poor side of area,
Mm.
it's not there yet.
Of course, because you need the
Unfortunately,
facility. Also, I mean, these things they require a little bit of money to
I
be
think
envisioned, right?
the issue is not in the money. I think the issue is that
Okay.
the scene there is like more in the kickboxing and
Ah,
karate area. So
so different interest in different areas. Yeah,
exactly,
yeah, yeah.
and I think to that part there hasn't been people going there to promote jiu-jitsu, which is hurts my heart. Maybe.
But maybe you'll be the official
Uh,
sort of prophet of jiu-jitsu in Lebanon, Lebanon.
Lebanon. It's one of the dreams, to teach there, open maybe a school one day
That would be
when.
so beautiful to hear.
Yeah.
Seriously, like when I, you know, living in this part of the world, I'm very grateful for the opportunities that has been provided for me in this country, and to know there are so many people out there that really need, you know,
Mm.
the the the, um, the path.
Mm.
They need this sort of like path to follow, and me being afforded this opportunity here
Yeah.
to chase whatever sport I want or whatever dream I have, I'm really grateful, and that's why I like guys like you who want to also take this, elsewhere, because
Yeah.
there's millions of people out there with so much potential. I
Exactly.
talked recently with
Mm.
your friend Eddie.
Eddie, yes.
We talked about taking the sport to Africa. What can be done to make
Mm.
it grow? I mean, it is already there, but to even
Yeah.
make it much more on a grander scale.
Yes.
Absolutely. Mhm.
Yes, I agree 100%. And uh, to make it scale, I think the promotion is already there. I think the history and the jiu-jitsu has been proven to be effective.
Mm.
That's not the part. It's just like how to make people more interested in it
Mm.
and to start it. And it comes step by step. And great examples for me is Delcio Pereira, how he runs stuff, how you can
How does he
touch
run stuff?
people's heart.
Okay.
Like there's a lot of teachers, but how many good teachers there are?
True. True.
So I believe that when you teach somebody, you promote somebody, you really want to be interested on the people's heart as well,
True. Mm.
and how to bring them close to the sport.
I mean, there's a general sort of, I mean, it's in the jiu-jitsu subculture, like people like yourself who are a black belt,
Mm.
they are referred to as the professors, right? El profesor,
Yes,
basically.
yes,
So you have teacher to student interpersonal relationship.
yes.
Nice, 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 nice. And do you in a way feel like how can I put it? Do you feel like the sport could use also kind of like a mainstream promotion kind of to bring it into the limelight? I mean, mixed martial arts is growing, obviously.
Yes, yes.
Boxing has been growing for quite some time. But what can be done from like because the media plays such a big factor. How can we
Def-
use the media in
we-
this instance?
yes, the media we can use it like by promoting events, which has been doing by competitions
Mm.
and stuff. But I think we should do more like major events against with the
Mm.
fighters, and more like self defense, big promotion in the jiu-jitsu. That scene has been quite low because everybody is like interested in the competitions, but
True, true, true,
but
true,
in
true.
jiu-jitsu competition there is like rarely like one, like in MMA there is like one big fight,
Mm.
and that's it. You
Mm.
know, there is like if you go to the competition, there is a lot of matches going on there, and you win, you lose, and it just goes on. But I think more to have the big events promotes it even more. But also, I think like events such as self defense in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu aspect should be promoted in a bigger scale. Now
Mm.
it's a smaller, much smaller scale as an event for
Yeah,
the
I mean,
people.
if I
For
had to
in the
personally
Finland,
recommend to someone who needed to do something for self-defense cases, I think jiu-jitsu would be pretty great.
I think that too. Like jiu-jitsu has been proven effectively, like amongst the combat sport. For example, when the Gracie family started to compete against karate
Yeah,
guys,
yeah, yeah.
against like judokas, so
In
it
the
got
90s.
in
Yeah.
yes, in the 90s. So it got very famous from that, beating other combat and martial arts
And these
styles.
guys, they even had size disparity. Like the guys they were facing were probably just big, like sort of henched up wrestlers or some lanky boxers, but still,
Yes,
like they grab hold of them, take them to the ground, and
yes.
night night.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's basically like matter of the time when the match gets on the ground. Uh, you know, if you can safely just take the guy down, avoid the punches,
Mm.
then the boxer, for example, it's very difficult for him to be there.
Mm. By the way, like you as a person,
Mm.
what are your goals? Because I know you've been flirting a little bit with mixed martial arts.
Yes.
So, do you see yourself venturing into another sport to compete?
Yeah. Um, yes. So I my plan is like I'm venturing now towards MMA
Mhm.
heavily uh, because I wanted first to be an MMA fighter.
Mm.
Then my heart just went to
You
jiu-jitsu.
fell in
I
love.
fell in.
Yeah, you fell in love. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's so fascinating.
Yeah.
I fell in love on it, but I did actually MMA like from my career, like the first 2 years. I
Okay,
did
okay.
like uh, continuously
Yeah.
and boxing, kickboxing in the same time, but the heart was always in
Yeah, yeah.
jiu-jitsu. But now I'm just filling up those dreams
Mm.
for myself that I have acquired a lot of knowledge from jiu-jitsu. Now I feel like I'm missing from MMA,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and I'm hungry for knowledge, a
Of
lot of
course, of
hungry.
course.
So I'm leaning towards that and Thai boxing, but I see myself more to MMA, and I want to compete on it still, and work on it, and with that place also to grow my knowledge on jiu-jitsu, to teach it
Mm.
more. Of course, I will use jiu-jitsu as a test ground for
Mhm.
competition,
Mhm.
learning ground, and I will use those methods basically on it.
Like what gets you going on a day to day? Like if we now put jujitsu on the side, but
Yeah.
you as a person, what gets you going? Like what gets you to wake up? What sort of makes you feel as if okay, today's the day. Today I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna accomplish that. What are your little tiny advices?
Advices, can you repeat, like say
Like
like tiny advices for myself
yes,
why I get up
yeah,
from
yeah,
the bed?
exactly. What motivates you
Yeah.
on a day to day
um,
basis?
for me it is to help my family
Hmm.
and to help myself and to get myself more knowledge. I'm knowledge hungry, so I really want to learn more. And for me, I firstly, when I wake up, I think usually jiu-jitsu, and before I sleep I think jiu-jitsu, and it gets me up very very
It's like a
much.
long term puzzle you're trying to solve every morning. You go
Yes,
to sleep and you wake
yes,
up, you keep thinking about
yes.
it. Yeah.
That gets me up, and I'm just hungry for the new day, and to just improve myself as a human being.
Does if you don't mind me asking, does your faith play any factor into this?
Yes, My faith has like a lot of principles and a lot of like determination and I don't know the word in English, but
Sonava. I can
um,
translate.
um, principles, principles,
Yeah, yeah, correct.
and I use these principles also in jiu-jitsu. How I am committed on something, I will just do it.
Okay, okay. So if you have an idea and if you bring it on the
Mm.
table, you need to commit into it until it solves, and then you go to the next step.
Yes, yes.
So it's like an ethos. You have this personal ethos, and you try to live by it.
Mm, yes.
And you sort of do you feel as if like when you talked about having that hunger for knowledge,
Mm,
that intellectual humility,
mm.
do you have a specific approach on how you receive this knowledge? Do you maybe travel to meet new teachers, or how do you sort of try to look for this kind of knowledge? I mean, the internet is also another place, but
Yes, for me it's internet, of course, but the most thing is to travel to places. For example, I have been like different gyms,
Mhm.
training committed. If I commit to one gym, I am there. But when I see that it's time to get more knowledge, I usually move as well. But
Mhm.
I don't forget of my teachers who have taught me and
Your
everything,
roots, yeah.
my roots where I come from, and even from individual person. If I see like people have knowledge,
Mhm.
like a certain way and technique, I really ask them. I'm very humble to ask and share what we have and really to apply it.
Mm.
I really want to apply it, not only for asking. I just see, I ask, and I try to apply it like straight away and see how it's working for me, what I can uh, get, take from it.
That's how intelligence grows. Seriously, like something that I think if I remember, Plato said that I know nothing. You
Yes.
know, so if you have that approach, if you always go with an empty vessel in your head,
Mm.
always fill it with fresh water. I
Yes.
think that's a really beautiful approach. Like, and this can be applied to many things in
Yes,
life.
like I said before, it can be applied in anything,
Mm.
anything you want to learn, uh, in the work, in any kind of hobby, what you like. If you just use that kind of mentality, you really acquire it.
Mm. And since we are now coming to the conclusion, what advice do you have to the world, to people who are listening,
Mm.
in whether it is pursuing this sport or just pursuing whatever that they want to pursue? Do you have
Mm.
any advice to give them?
I would say to be patient.
Patience. That's a new one. Nice. I
Yeah,
like that.
I think patient because many people they try stuff
Hmm.
and they just it's too hard for me
Mm,
and they just leave it. Then they hop on something. But if you are patient and if you have found that this sparks my heart, be patient on it and let it just grow. Let put the time to grind it to be better. You will see the result like on the time if that is the one what you really like and try it out. If there is something you have thought of trying, like good things,
hmm.
new sport, new hobbies,
Don't do drugs.
yes,
Yeah.
which can improve you,
Yeah.
uh, try it and see by yourself. Don't live from other person's dream or
Mhm, mhm,
tries. You
mhm.
know, you have to feel it how it feels for you.
I like how you emphasized, when you have an interest and you particularly want to gravitate to it, you use patience and stay there for a little bit. Just don't give up, even if it becomes challenging.
Exactly. When it comes challenging, that's like I think it's the fun part.
Yes,
I
yes,
I
yes.
think it's the fun part because then it sees what you made of
Hmm.
and how you develop yourself.
Mm.
If you start doing
Build
something,
character. Mm.
build character, and because it builds you.
Mm.
And if even if you're gonna stop it afterwards, it's not for me. If you have gone through the challenging part, that this is hard, this is challenging for me, you grow always.
Even so, even when you face failures, you still recommend to keep pushing?
Yes, I recommend to keep pushing, even if you see failures, smart failures. Of course, if there is like a very bad failure, you see what that has come from what is the reason for it, and if you see that you can improve it, and you give time for it, definitely. But if it's something which harms you, then you should stop.
Do you like, do you have these moments when you sort of reflect and feel this sense of gratitude, because you've been doing this for so long, that if you had decided not to be patient and like steer away from jiu-jitsu, do you sometimes reflect and think like, boy, what a journey?
Very good question.
Like, what if I didn't do this? That what if scenario.
Yeah, I would reflect on it. But I think it has happened to me in MMA, so that's why I'm now reaching towards it. There is one thing what happened to me when I was a kid, when I was 7 years old.
Go on.
I was playing ice hockey,
Yeah.
and there we were swimming with the family in a lake, and there was another father, Finnish father, who asked my father, like, your boy is very active. Why wouldn't he come to boxing?
Oh.
And that has been in my mind like since. I asked my father, like, why you haven't put me on the boxing?
Okay, yeah.
And then we spoke about it, and I reflect to myself usually in that case, like, what if I have started martial art at 7 years old? What I would be like.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, it's probably better, because I can see you still have some neural density. You still have a functional brain, because
Yes.
7 years old and getting clobbered to the head is probably not a good idea.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
actually glad you chose jiu-jitsu, because you're a very well-articulated person, and you can convey a message really well. That's really good. But like, seriously, look, do you have how can people reach you? Because since you do probably some consulting,
Yes.
some private lessons, how can people reach you?
You can find me on Instagram, Abdullah.ElNachar, or just hop in the Espon Kehahait. Just start with there, and we go from there, basically.
I like that. I really recommend the latter, because when this person teaches, he's got everybody hypnotized. They're just so fixed, and everyone is sitting on the ground, hugging their knees, and just like fixated on this guy's methods. So if anyone out here in the near locale is curious to join Espon, feel free. The academy is always welcome to have you. So really appreciate having you
Thank
here.
you, brother. Thank you.
I'd really love to have you again one time, because I feel like this was a bit too short. And seriously, thank you. Again, we're going to give shout out to Joe, without whom this was not possible. JC Radio is always such a wonderful home to be in, because the Black Buccaneer ship, my ship, would not be able to sail on these tumultuous waters without the help of JC Radio. So shout out to the big man, Joe. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Like and subscribe. There's going to be more content to come. You are part of the movement. So thank you, everybody. Peace out.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Remo.
Anna, femme d'affaires, cherche forte à Ouaga. La voix des lions. Innocent Versace, bébé Ramazani. Babou, de la famille. Alain Boulou, big manager.